South Carolina getting blown out by UCLA was interesting on a few levels. Obviously, when you're talking future prognostication, it's interesting because South Carolina had won 43 games in a row and UCLA smacked them around, which is a good indication of what the Bruins could be come the NCAA tournament. Obviously, Lauren Betts is a force for them with her size. That is tough to deal with. Barker is a versatile player who I think could skyrocket up WNBA draft boards. But just this past weekend, when you see UCLA do what they did to South Carolina and you see Notre Dame do what they did to USC, you have to be thinking about a difference in perspective when it comes to the rankings and when it comes to who could be cutting down the nets come March, because that Notre Dame backcourt is not for play. Then there was the other aspect of the game, which was Dawn Staley not playing MiLaysia Fulwiley, who is a dynamic guard for South Carolina, but only got 3 minutes of burn in that game. And fans were not happy about that. I don't know what went on behind the scenes. Obviously, Staley is an accomplished coach, so she must have a purpose. But it is strange for a player who may be the most talented on South Carolina to not really see the floor in a loss like that. After the game, Staley did talk about it, or not that. She did talk. She didn't talk about that, which was of note as well. I mean, here was the scene as UCLA was celebrating, and obviously they were pumped, as they should be. I mean, that's a big win for the program, but you see the final score there. It wasn't even close. And then you see the celebration as they're ecstatic. And, Betts, you could tell by her reaction just how pumped she was right there. But, a huge win for UCLA, a team that very well could be a force the remainder of this season when you look at the talent on that roster and what they can do defensively, I think, because of Barker and Betts. But nonetheless, the story to me out of the game was the lack of playing time for Fulwiley. And Dawn Staley wasn't even asked about that in the post-game press conference. I really think women's basketball just needs better media presence in general. Not singling out anybody who was specifically at that press conference, because I don't even know who was there, how many people were there, whatever. But for that to go unasked in a post-game press conference is wild to me, because it's almost like, are you worried about not being reverent to Dawn Staley? Are you scared to ask the question? Because that was the question everybody wanted answered. I mean, I was wondering if she was hurt or something. The best soundbite, and it was No Cap Space Women's Basketball who posted the full interview or the full post-game press conference with Staley. This was her best bite from that.
Yeah, my message was, this is what we usually do to teams. It doesn't feel good when you're on the receiving end of it. But you also know you got beat by a great team, like executing on both sides of that. It was beautiful basketball by UCLA, beautiful on both sides. Like, I can't, I'm on the opposite side of it, but you can't help but to love up on it, because it was fluid on both sides of the ball. They wanted it. I thought our kids fought, but we ran into a buzzsaw today.
So that was the post-game press conference from Dawn Staley. And look, I mean, South Carolina doesn't have Camila Cardoso anymore. They don't have Aaliyah Boston anymore. Their guard play has been suspect so far. And I think, they have some talented guards on the roster, as I just referenced. But to me, I mean, and I'm not even criticizing Staley. I don't know the reason. I mean, there very well could have been, a disciplinary reason. There could have been a strategy reason. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, right? Because Fulwiley was only in for a couple of plays in the entire game. I mean, this is basically the extent of her action during the contest. Not great shots here. Forced it. It was turned over there under the basket. I guess I don't think that's a terrible shot per se, but I don't know if it was that. I don't know if there was some exchange on the bench, what have you. But to me, that was odd. It was very odd that she didn't get the minutes. And Staley in the past if you recall, has talked about it being a battle in coaching Fulwiley. So clearly, that's a interesting sort of dynamic, and it's obviously there's dynamics or things behind the scenes. Here was Staley in the past on that specific topic and that specific player. While we're sitting here talking about, I might as well play you the old one.
With Lay, and it's not that it's a battle with Lay, and it's not that she understands. Like, she really understands. She's really dynamic. She's a dynamic guard. I thought, for the most part, she was lean as lean could be, like playing great, and sometimes she can't bite the bullet. But if she could play as lean as she played today, I can eat some of the stuff that she tries to do. Is when it's not as lean as it was today, you're still trying, and maybe sometimes that gets her going a little bit. So she, I give her a little leeway with it, but I also let her know, I let her know during the game, like, your game was like great, like efficient, you know, it's the game slowed down for you. You were doing a lot, you were facilitating. Um, and then she gets anxious to make a play. And a lot of times it is to her teammate. Like, it is an unselfish thing that really gets her in trouble. For us, we want her to go score. Don't go try to make the spectacular pass. They're not ready. They're not ready. So go score. You miss, they're gonna get the rebound. So it's those types of instances, and it's just a conversation. Like, I enjoy. She knows now. Like, she could actually, if I say something, she could finish the sentence, but she can't hear me in those moments in the game.
So look, that's obviously a coach who has had some frustration with her player in the past, and there's a line between coaching and holding back, I think. But I defer to Dawn Staley. I mean, Dawn Staley has done a tremendous job at South Carolina, but this whole thing is a little bit strange. And I guess, to use her own words, after it wasn't much of a battle between South Carolina and UCLA, the battle continues between Dawn Staley and her standout guard who didn't play.